This is the demo for the Limosine project first year scenario of online reputation management. So this scenario is well represented in Limosine via the Llorente and Cuenca online division, which is one of the partners of the project and which is a company devoted to public relations consultancy, and in particular this is the online division, which is intimately related to the reputation management scenario. So how we have defined the scenario, it has been defined in collaboration between this company and two of the other partners, research partners of the project, UNED and the University of Amsterdam. Besides the discussions among these three partners with the idea of focusing on the problems which are both relevant for the industry and challenging from a research perspective, we have also organized a dissemination workshop at the LREC 2012, where the Limosine project has gathered together groups from industry and academia to give us feedback about our ideas and to help us shape our research on this problem. So you're looking now at manual annotations for Twitter data done by experts at Llorente and Cuenca, and they correspond to two main tasks which reputation management experts carry on, which are a profiling task and a monitoring task. So let us start with the profiling task, which is on here, the results of the manual annotation. The idea of the profiling task is that for a given client, the expert has to gather the most visible prominent information about the company in online sources with the goal of synthesizing the public image that online sources project for this client. So as you see, we are handling results and manual annotation by experts for more than 30 different companies. Of course, this work can be done for different types of entities: companies, brands, products, persons, etc. Our idea has been to start focusing on companies because it is very relevant from the companies in these areas perspective, and also because it's challenging. Little work has been done, for instance, on opinion analysis or sentiment analysis on companies. A lot of work has been done on products. That's why we think companies are the most challenging and the most practical, and therefore the thing to pursue. So for this first year, we have focused on companies. So the annotation for the first year and the problems that we are targeting in the project are: first, filtering annotation that discards tweets that mention the company name but do not refer to the company. Here, in the case of Google, one may think that Google is not an ambiguous term, and indeed it's not ambiguous, but some of the tweets may for instance, use an URL of sites.google.com. So the person writing the tweet is not really speaking about Google, but just putting an URL which talks about something else. So the first step is doing the filtering. As you can see here, in this data, the manual annotation says that slightly less than 70% of the tweets that contain the word Google are really about the Google company, and over 30% are not related to the company. The second kind of annotation is the polarity for reputation. This is related to the sentiment analysis, but it's not the same because there are a lot of polar facts. So in principle, neutral factual statements that, in spite of that, do have an implication for the reputation of the company. In fact, this first example maybe could work because this says, I forgot to say, this is data in English and Spanish. We have started with these two languages for the first year. Encuentra a su madre después de 25 años gracias a Google Earth. Finds his mother after 25 years thanks to Google Earth. So there are no sentiment terms here, but this fact has a strong positive implication for the reputation of Google, and that's has the green color. As you can see, 16% of the tweets in this dataset has positive implications for the reputation of Google, according to the manual annotators, and only a small percentage has negative implications. Most of the data, over 80%, however, is just neutral with respect to the reputation of Google. So these are the results of the manual annotations, and we have that give us the possibility of evaluating a number of automatic approaches that use results from different work packages within the project. Here you can see that there are a number of runs for UNED, a number of runs from the University of Amsterdam, number of runs for Barcelona Media, and also some collaborations like this one between UNED and Barcelona Media. So if we look at the results, you can see here, for example, the results of Barcelona Media. As you can see, already you can see that this is automatic because the different percentages between the positive, negative, and neutral is very different, and that gives us the possibility of analyzing the outcome of the system, evaluating it, and doing failure analysis. As you can see here, you can see the evaluation in terms of accuracy, but also R and S are evaluation measures that has been defined in the project with respect to a number of formal properties. So we have done a formal analysis that in fact has led us to unify in one many of the problems that we have and define a single evaluation measure for all of them. In this case, these filtering and classification tasks are evaluated using the same reliability and sensitivity scores, which has been developed within the project and are in the process of being published. So let's now take a look at the second scenario, which is the monitoring scenario. The problem here is a bit different. Profiling is something that is done for a client every maybe 6 months or every year or even 2 years. Monitoring is something that is performed daily. It is the first thing is gathering a daily stream of possible mentions to the client from several online sources, and here Twitter is particularly relevant because things happen first in Twitter. The goal is to filter the relevant data again and to organize in topics. So what are the conversations about this company, and out of these conversations, which are the ones we should be paying attention to? So that's an early alerting on the issues in particular that may damage the reputation of the client. Good things about the company are important, but bad things are more important because public relations people must know how to handle them. This is a complex problem. First, formally, it involves filtering. It involves clustering, so you have to detect the conversations and group tweets accordingly. And second, you have to rank clusters rather than documents. In fact, we have here a ranking in which we have alerts with 7 clusters in the, let's go to the gold standard. So we have 9 topics which are alerts for the experts, 3 which has an average priority, and 9 clusters of low priority. Here is the percentage of the different priorities as you can see. Let's take a look, for instance, let's change the company. Let's go to Gillette. Here we have a big cluster of 64 tweets which talk about Hilton Shell sponsors buying Johnny Walker. These are just automatically extracted keywords. In fact, it's about Formula One in Bahrain, and people are asking to stop buying sponsors that support the Bahrain Formula One for some reason. And Gillette is one of these sponsors, so that is a conversation that is going on at this moment that is relevant for the reputation of Gillette, and that the public relations at Gillette must take care of. And so the system must detect it, group the topic, the tweets that talk about this, and put it up in the ranking of clusters. So if we now take a look at one of the algorithms that has been developed within the project that solves this issue, we can detect here that a similar cluster with slightly less tweets has been grouped to talk about precisely that problem. So again, as you see here, reliability and sensitivity are general measures that can be applied also to this problem. This is relevant because there were no standard measures that could be applied to a problem that combines clustering and ranking of clusters. Okay, so one more thing to note, one more important thing to note, or two. The first one is that these are relatively new problems from a research perspective and also from the company's perspective. So this manual annotation will help us not only solving the problems but also understanding them. For instance, how experts decide what is the priority of a given cluster. Probably implicitly the polarity of the conversation is very relevant. The novelty is very relevant. This is something that you have been seeing in the past. It is not so crucial to pay attention to it right now. It is important how focused is on the company. In the example below, it was Gillette, but also many other companies involved. So the focus was not so big, etc. But we really don't know. So that involves some artisanship. And from the manual annotations, we can study which are the factors that determine ranking for this particular problem, which is something very relevant. And the second important point is that both for monitoring and profiling, all these manual annotations have not only been used within the scope of the Limosine project, but we have organized an international evaluation campaign for which 13 groups have submitted results, which means we have shared our understanding of the problem, our definition of the scenarios, our take on what are the relevant problems to be solved from a research perspective. We have shared all our data with these 13 groups, and we have run this evaluation campaign that culminated in a workshop at CLE 2012, where we have debated on the same data, on the comparative on the comparison of the different approaches developed not only within Limosine but also by external members of the scientific community. And that's basically the most important stuff done for this scenario in Limosine.